Why are you iRacing? Why did you join this race? What are you here for? Over 7 billion laps have been made on iRacing, but not race. iRacers, you and me alike, have been battling for iRacing's greatest paradox, driving for numbers rather than racing for the best finish. If you scroll through a Reddit or iRacing thread, you see the countless people talking about getting out of a license class or how to raise their iRating. So often, drivers get caught up in the number or class they are in and lose sight of what is directly in front of them, the race. Safety rating and iRating are two statistics that seem to fog the minds of all iRacers. At some point in everyone's iRacing career, you have stopped and worried about how the next race will impact your numbers, either because you didn't know how the system worked or because they meant something to you. These are some of the most prominent numbers everyone sees, so it makes sense that folks value them so highly. In some ways, iRating and safety rating are synonymous with iRacing. If you ask someone if they play iRacing, they are likely to follow that question with "What's your iRating?" And for anyone fixated on these numbers, I don't blame you. These seem so important. They decide what you race, who you race against. They are so important in the grand scheme of iRacing that you almost connect these numbers to your identity. Get in a wreck? That's not what 4.0 A-class drivers do. Lose the race as the number 1 car? You must not be that good to be whatever iRating you are. These numbers feel like they have to mean something, since they are so prominent in the game. They must be the metric of competition, and having better numbers in these categories means that you're a better driver in the game. Clearly there's an issue with this mentality. Anyone who's been on iRacing for more than a couple of years has experienced the burnout from iRacing. Whether it is a bunch of races back-to-back or hyperfixating on results, it is so difficult to keep your head in it that you start to almost dread starting the next race if you fail to get the right result. On the other end, when focusing on iRating so much, decision-making gets clouded. Instead of making a decision based on where you are in the overall race, racers can get too focused on the position they're fighting for, diving too deep to clear or pushing an exit to defend, failing to manage the race and burning up your tires. Sometimes getting scrappy and being overly aggressive and ego racing. Racers do this race after race and the enjoyment starts to slip. You stop racing and you can only chase numbers. I started this channel so I could look back at my experiences as a sim racer. I aspire to be competitive and improve as a racer, but another reason I record these videos is to look back at my mental states at the start, middle, and end of these races. Looking back at this season, I believe this was the lowest I've enjoyed iRacing. Part of it is luck. Clearly I had none this season. But another large factor is I have been so fixated on iRating. A few weeks into the season, I had a silly idea that I would bring back the Road to 3K goal. I ran 6 races with the goal plastered on the thumbnails and effectively lost 54 iRating. But more so, I lost a lot of my drive and excitement. After the 6 races, you can hear the winds knocked out of me. I sound defeated. And throughout the rest of the season, with over 40 starts, I felt the weight of focusing too much on iRating. It kinda sucked. So, where does that leave us? Are we stopping racing? Are we shutting down the channel? No, nothing like that. I believe sim racing has given me an outlet to be competitive, which is something I have not had throughout my life. I am also extremely passionate about NASCAR and the ability to oval race, so I don't think iRacing is going anywhere for me. The biggest thing I plan to change is how I close my videos. Currently, I wrap up by looking at the results, highlighting the biggest iRating winner and finding where I finish, and then the biggest loser. I plan on discontinuing that for a few reasons. First, it isn't that cool to call people the biggest this or that. It's cheeky, but at the end of the day, losing a little more in iRating may not be that big of a deal. We all start a race with different goals, and it isn't fair to lump everyone into one of my one-sided goals. I will also not be doing the Road to X iRating anytime soon. I like the concept of racing for a goal, but beyond it being a number, I don't know why I want to be a 3K iRacer. There is a huge misconception that lower iRating drivers are inherently worse at iRacing. While it is more common to see basic mistakes, the higher your iRating doesn't prevent you from making silly mistakes. Take me for example. I ran significantly better races as a 1.5 to 2K iRating than I have at 1.9 to 2.2K iRating. Rather than making sloppy mistakes, I make more mistakes trying to get more than I deserve. Additionally, with the structure of the time slots and what they are, I have been racing in strength of fields far higher than what I am in iRating, and I have had a mixed bag of results. If my goal was to race against higher rated drivers, I am doing it now more than ever, and my iRating hasn't changed. I still get wrecked by 1K racers and 4K racers. Hey, iRacing, you should really revert back to the old schedule for time slots. The lack of splits is ruining the fun and I'm getting pub stop in iRacing. Please, iRacing, fix it. Lastly, I just want to go out and have fun racing. I want to be in a competitive field where drivers practice racecraft and race to have fun. Back in January of 2023, I started the most enjoyable time I had on iRacing. I remember having countless races where I just had a blast. The one thing I do not remember looking at throughout that time was my iRating, and I only cared whenever I hit 2K. And from that point, I have been chasing the number instead of racing. So, I have identified the problem, and I'm going to try my best to stop worrying about it. I plan on Season 3 of 2025 to be as focused on making the best content I can while enjoying racing. I'm done obsessing, and I'm ready to go race. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.